Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome to today's reading from Sri Caitanya Madhya Lila, chapter 9, verse number 145. We will be continuing our reading. Mukham Karoti Vachalam, Pangum Lankaite Girim, Yat Kripa Tamam Vande Shri Gurum Din Tailam, Paramananda Madhavam, Sri Caitanya Ishwaram, Hari Om Tat Sat. Verse 145. Tumi ye padila shloka se haya pramana, say shloka aise Krishna Swayam Bhagwan. You have recited the shloka beginning with the Siddhantas Tva Abheda Api. That very verse is evidence that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And last time we finished with the verse where it was told that Krishna has 4 more qualities than Narayan. He's got beauty which surpasses all the 3 worlds. He's got association of the topmost devotees in the Golok Vrindavan, and also that Krishna is always playing on his flute, whose vibration attracts the 3 worlds, and his wonderful pastimes are compared to an ocean. So moving on to verse number 146. Siddhantas tva abhedyapi Shrisha Krishna Swarupayoh Raseno ta krishyate Krishna Rupam Esha Rasa Sthitah. According to transcendental realization, there is no difference between the forms of Krishna and Narayan. Yet in Krishna, there is a special transcendental attraction due to the conjugal mallow, and consequently he surpasses Narayan. This is the conclusion of transcendental mallows. So it's a transcendental attraction due to the conjugal mallow which makes Krishna surpass Narayan. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. This is a verse from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.59. Here Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj says that Lord Chaitanya spoke the verse to Venkat Bhatt, and earlier he said that Venkat Bhatt spoke it to the Lord, but since their conversation took place long before the Sakti Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu was composed, the question may be raised as to how either of them quoted verse. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that this verse and many others like it were current among devotees long before Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu was composed. Thus devotees would always quote them and explain their purport in ecstasy. Verse 147. Swayam Bhagwan Krishna Hare Lakshmira Mana Gopikar Mana Harite Nare Narayana. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna attracts the mind of the goddess of fortune, but Lord Narayan cannot attract the minds of the gopis. This proves the super excellence of Krishna. Verse number 148. Narayanera ka katha Shri Krishna apane gopi kare hasya karaite haya Narayane. To say nothing of Lord Narayan personally, Lord Krishna himself appeared as Narayan just to play a joke on the gopis. Verse 149. Chaturbhuja Murti Dekhai Gopi Ganera Age, say Krishna Gopikar Nahi Anurage. Although Krishna assumed the four-arm form of Narayan, he could not attract the serious attention of gopis in ecstatic love. Verse 150. Gopinam Pashupendra Nandana Jusho Bhavasya Kastam Kriti Vigyanatum Kshamate Duruh Padavi Sancharinah Prakriyam Avishkurvati Vaishvanam Vesh Navim Api Tanum Tasmin Bhujair Jishnubir Yasam Hanta Chaturbhir Adbhuta Ruchim Ragodayah Kunchati. Once Lord Shri Krishna playfully manifested himself as Narayan with 4 victorious hands and a very beautiful form. When the gopis saw this exalted form, however, their ecstatic feelings were crippled. A learned scholar, therefore, cannot understand the gopis' ecstatic feelings, which are firmly fixed upon the original form of Lord Krishna as the son of Nanda Maharaj. The wonderful feelings of the gopis in ecstatic Param Rasa with Krishna constitute the greatest mystery in spiritual life. Purport: this is a verse spoken by Narad Muni in the Lalit Madhava Natak 6.14, a drama written by Srila Rupa Goswami. Verse number 151. Eta kahi prabhura tanra garva churna kariya tanre sukha dite kahe siddhanta phiraiya. In this way, Lord Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu deflated the pride of Venkata Bhatta, but just to make him happy again, he spoke as follows. Verse number 152. Dukkana bhaviha bhatta kailun parihasa shastra siddhanta shuna yate Vaishnav Vishwas. The Lord pacified Venkat Bhatt by saying, actually, whatever I have said is by way of jest. Now you can hear from me the conclusion of the Shastras in which every Vaishnav devotee has firm faith. Verse number 153. Krishna Narayana Yaiche Eka Iswarupa Gopi Lakshmi Bheda Nahi Haya Ekarupa. There is no difference between Lord Krishna and Lord Narayan, for they are of the same form. Similarly, there is no difference between the gopis and the goddess of fortune, for they also are the same form. Verse number 154. Gopi Dware Lakshmi Kare Krishna Sanga Swada Ishwaratve Bheda Manile Haya Aparadha. The goddess of fortune enjoys the association of Krishna through the gopis. One should not differentiate between the forms of the Lord, for such a conception is offensive. Verse number 155. Eka Ishware Bhaktera Dhyana Anurupa Ekai Vigrahe Kare Nanakara Rupa. There is no difference between the transcendental forms of the Lord. Different forms are manifested due to different attachments of different devotees. Actually, the Lord is one, but he appears in different forms just to satisfy his devotees' purport. In the Brahma Samhita is stated, Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam Adyam Purna Purusham Nava Yovanam Cha. The Lord is Advait without differentiation. There is no difference between the Lord of Krishna, the forms of Krishna, Rama, Narayan and Vishnu. All of them are one. Sometimes foolish people ask whether we can chant Rama in the Hare Krishna mantra. We refer to Lord Ramchandra or Lord Balaram. If a devotee says that the name Ram in the Hare Krishna Mahamantra refers to Balaram, a foolish person may become angry because to him the name of Ram refers to Lord Ramchandra. Actually, there is no difference between Balaram and Lord Ram. It does not matter whether one refers to Balaram or to Lord Ramchandra when chanting Hare Ram, for there is no difference between them. However, it is offensive to think that Balaram is superior to Lord Ramchandra or vice versa. Neophytes, devotees do not understand this Shastric conclusion and consequently they unnecessarily create an offensive situation. In the text 154, Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu clarified this in a very lucid way. Ishwaratve Bheda Manile Haya Aparadha. It is offensive for one to differentiate between the forms of the Lord. On the other hand, one should not think that the forms of the Lord are the same as the forms of the demigods. This is certainly offensive as confirmed by the Vaishnav Tantra. Yastu Narayanam Devam Brahma Rudradi Daivatehe Samat Venaiva Viksheta Sa Pashandi Bhaved Dhruvam. A Pashandi is one who considers the great demigods such as Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva equal to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan. This is from Hari Bhakti Vilas 7.117. The conclusion is that we should neither differentiate between the forms of the Lord nor equate the forms of the Lord with the forms of demigods or human beings. For instance, sometimes foolish sannyasis thinking the body of Lord to be material equate Daridra Narayan with the Narayan. And this is certainly offensive unless one is instructed by a bona fide spiritual master. He cannot perfectly understand these different forms. The Brahma Samhita confirms Vedeshu Durlabham Adurlabham Atma Bhaktau. One cannot understand the differences between the forms of the Lord simply by academic study or by reading Vedic literature. One must learn from a realized devotee. Only then can one learn how to distinguish between one form of the Lord and another? The conclusion is that there is no difference between the forms of the Lord, but there is a difference between his form and those of the demigods. Verse 156. Manir yatha vibhagena nila pita dibhiryutah rupa bhedam avapnoti dhyana bhedat tatha chittah. When the jewel known as Vaidurya touches various other materials, it appears to be separated into two different colors, and consequently its form also appear different. Similarly, according to the meditational ecstasy of the devotee, the Lord, who is known as Achyuta, the infallible one, appears in different forms, although he is essentially one. Purport: this is a verse quoted from Sri Narad Pancharatra. Verse 157. Bhatt kahe kaha ami jiva pamar, kaha tumi se Krishna sakshat Ishvara. Venkat Bhatt then said, I am an ordinary fallen living entity, but you are Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead himself. Verse 158. Agad Ishwara lila kichui na jani tumi ye kaha say satya karimani. The transcendental pastimes of the Lord are unfathomable, and I do not know anything about them. Whatever you say, I accept as the truth. Purport: this is the way to understand the truth about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After hearing the Bhagavad-Gita, Arjun said very much the same thing. Sarvam etad ritam manne yen mam vadasi keshava nahi bhagwan vyaktim vidur deva na danavah. O Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. Neither the demigods nor the demons, O Lord, can understand your personality. This is Bhagavad-Gita 10.14. It is not possible to understand the truth about the pastimes of the Lord simply by using our own logic, argument, and academic education. We must receive bona fide information from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, just as Arjuna received information when Krishna spoke the Bhagavad-Gita. We have to accept Bhagavad-Gita or any other Vedic literature in good faith. These Vedic literatures are the only source of knowledge about the Lord. We must understand that we cannot comprehend the absolute truth by the speculative process. Verse 159. Mora Purna Kripa Kaila Lakshmi Narayana Tanra Kripaye Paino Tomar Charana Darshana. I have been engaged in the service of Lakshmi Narayana, and it is due to their mercy that I have been able to see your lotus feet. Verse 160. Kripa Kari Kahile Mora Krishnera Mahima Yanrak Rupa Guneshwarya Yera Keha Napaya Sima. Out of your causeless mercy, you have told me of the glories of Lord Krishna. No one can reach the end of the opulence, qualities, and forms of the Lord. Verse 161. Eve se janino Krishna bhakti sarvopari kritartha karile more kaile kripa kari. I can now understand that devotional service unto Lord Krishna is the supreme form of worship. Out of your causeless mercy, you have made my life successful simply by explaining the facts. Verse 162. Eta bali bhatta padila prabhura charane kripa kari prabhu tanre kaila alingane. After saying this, Venkat Bhatt fell down before the lotus feet of the Lord, and the Lord, out of his causeless mercy, embraced him. Verse 163. Chaturmasya purna haila bhatta agya lena dakshin chalila prabhu shiranga dekhiya. When the period of Chaturmasya was completed, Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu took permission to leave from Venkat Bhatt, and after visiting Sriranga, he proceeded further toward southern India. Verse 164. Sangete chalila bhatta nayaya bhavane tanre vidaya tila prabhu aneka yatane. Venkat Bhatt did not want to return home, but also wanted to go with Bhatt. It was with great endeavor that Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu bade him farewell. Verse 165. Prabhura yiviyoge bhatta haila achetana airanga lila kare shachira nandana. When he did so, Venkat Bhatt fell down unconscious. Such are the pastimes of Lord Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu, the son of Mother Shachi, at Sriranga Kshetra. Verse 166. Rishabha parvate chali aila gaurahari narayana dekhila tanha nati Nati Stuti Kari. When the Lord arrived at Rishabh Hill, he saw the temple of Lord Narayan and offered obeisances and various prayers. Purport: Rishabh Hill or the Anagada Gada Malaya Parvat lies 12 miles north of Madurai city in the district of Madurai in southern Tamil Nadu. It is one of the mountains known as Kuttakachalas. Nearby Rishabh Hill is the forest where Lord Rishabdev burned himself to ashes. Verse 167. Parmanand Puri Tahan Rahe Chaturmas Shuni Mahāprabhu Gela Puri Gosanir Pash. Parmanand Puri had stayed at Rishabh Hill during the 4 months of the rainy season, and when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this, he immediately went to see him. Verse 168. Puri Gosanira Prabhu Kaila Charanvandana Preme Puri Gosani Tantre Kaila Alingan. Upon meeting Parmanand Puri, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offered him all respects, touching his lotus feet, and Parmanand Puri embraced the Lord in ecstasy. Verse 169. तीन दिन प्रेमे दोन्हे कृष्ण कथा रंगे से विप्र घरे दोन्हे रहे एक संगे. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed with Parmanand Puri in the Brahman's house, and where he was residing, the two of them passed 3 days with their discussing topics of Krishna. Verse 170. Puri Gosani bale ami yab purushottame purushottam dekhi gaude Yab Ganga Snane. Paramananda Puri informed Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that he was going to see Purushottam at Jagannath Puri. After seeing Lord Jagannath there, he would go to Bengal to bathe in the Ganges. Verse 171. Prabhu kahe tumi punah aisa nila chale ami setu band haite asiba alpakale. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then told him, please return to Jagannath Puri, for I will return there very soon from Rameshwar or the Setu Bandha. Verse 172. Tomar nikate rahi hena vancha khaya nilachale asibe mor haina sadaya. It is my desire to stay with you, and therefore if you would return to Jagannath Puri, you would show great mercy on me. Verse 173. Eta bali tandra thani Ei Agya Lena Dakshine Chalila Prabhu Harshita Hena. After talking in this way with Parmanand Puri, the Lord took his permission to leave and, very pleased, departed for southern India. Verse 174. Parmanand Puri tabe Chalila Nilachale Mahaprabhu Chali Chali Aila Shri Saile. Thus Parmanand Puri started for Jagannath Puri, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began walking toward Sri Shaila. Purport: Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur remarks, which Sri Shaila is being indicated by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is not quite clearly understood. There is no temple of Mallikarjun in this area because Sri Shaila, located in the district of Dharwad, cannot possibly be there. Thus Sri Shaila is on the southern side of Belgaum, and the Shiva temple of Mallikarjun is located there. Refer to text 15 of this chapter. It is said that on that hill Lord Shiva lived with Devi also. Lord Brahma lived there with all the demigods. Verse 175. Shiva Durga rahe tahan brahmanera veshe Mahaprabhu dekhi donhar haila ullase. In Sri Shaila, Lord Shiva and his wife Durga lived in the dress of Brahmanas, and when they saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they became very pleased. Verse 176. Teen din bhiksha dila kari nimantrana nibrite vasi gupta varta kahe dui jana. Lord Shiva, dressed like a Brahman, gave alms to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and invited him to spend 3 days in solitary place. Sitting there together, they talked very confidentially. Verse 177. Tandra sange Mahaprabhu kari ishta goshti Tandra agya lena aila puri kama koshti. After talking with Lord Shiva, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took his permission to leave and went to Kama Koshti Puri. Verse 178. Dakshina Mathura Aila Kama Koshti Haite Tahan Dekha Haila Eka Brahmana Sahite. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived at southern Mathura from Kama Koshti, he met a Brahman. Purport: southern Mathura, presently known as Madurai, is situated on the banks of the Bhagai river. This place of pilgrimage is specifically meant for the devotees of Lord Shiva. Therefore, it is called Shaiva Kshetra. That is the place where Lord Shiva is worshipped. In this area, there are mountains and forests. There are also two Shiva temples. One is known as Rameshwar and the other is known as Sundareshwar. There is also a temple of Devi called Meenakshi Devi Temple, which displays very great architectural craftsmanship. It was built under the supervision of the kings of the Pandya dynasty, and when the Muslims attacked this temple as well as the temple of Sundareshwar, great damage was done. In the Christian year 1372, a king named Kampanna Udayara reigned on the throne of Madurai. Long ago, Emperor Kulashekara ruled this area, and during his reign, he established a colony of Brahmanas. A well-known king named Anantaguna Pandya is an 11th generation descendant of Emperor Kulashekara. Verse 179, Sai Vipra Mahāprabhu ke Kaila Nimantrana Rama Bhakta Sai Vipra Virakta Mahajana. The Brahmanas who met Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu invited the Lord to his home. This Brahmana was a great devotee and an authority on Lord Sri Ramchandra. He was always detached from material activities. Verse 180, Kritamalaya Snana Kari Aila Tanra Ghare Bhiksha Ki Dibena Vipra Pak Nahi Kare. After bathing in the river Kritamala, Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu went to the Brahmana's house to take lunch, but he saw that the food was unprepared because the Brahman had not cooked it. Verse 181, Mahāprabhu kahe tanre shuna mahashay madhyahan haila kene paka nahi haya. Seeing this, Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu said, My dear, please tell me why you have not cooked. It is already noon. Verse 182, Vipra kahe Prabhu more aranya vasati pakira samagri vane na mile samprati. The Brahman replied, My dear Lord, we are living in the forest. For the time being, we cannot get all the ingredients for cooking. Verse 183, Vanya shak phala moola anibe lakshmana tabesh sita karibena paka prayojana. When Lakshman brings all the vegetables, fruits and roots from the forest, Sita will do the necessary cooking. Verse 184, Tandra upasana shuni prabhu tushta haila Aste Vyaste Se Vipra Randhan Karila. Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu was very satisfied to hear about the Brahman's method of worship. Finally, the Brahman hastily made arrangements for cooking. Verse 185, Prabhu Bhiksha Kaila Dinre Tritya Prahare Nirvina Se Vipra Upavasa Kare. Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu took his lunch at about 3 o'clock, but the Brahman, being very sorrowful, fasted. Verse 186, Prabhu kahe vipra kanhe kara upavas kene eta dukha kene karaha hutash. Or is it hatash? While the Brahmana was fasting, Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu asked him, Why are you fasting? Why are you so unhappy? Why are you so worried? 187, Vipra kahe jivane mora nahi prayojana agni jale praveshiya chadiba jivana. The Brahman replied, I have no reason to live. I shall give up my body by entering either fire or water. Verse 188, Jagan Mata Maha Lakshmi Sita Thakurani Rakshases Prashila Tanre Iha Kane Shuni. My dear sir, Mother Sita is the mother of universe and the supreme goddess of fortune. She has been touched by the demon Ravan, and I am troubled upon hearing this news. Verse 189, Ei sharira dhari bare kabhu na yuyaya, ei dukhe jivale deha prana nahi yaya. So due to my unhappiness, I cannot continue living. Although my body is burning, my life is not leaving. Verse 190, Prabhu kahe e bhavana na kariha ar pandita hai na kene na kara vichar. Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu replied, Please do not think this way any longer. You are a learned pandita. Why don't you consider the case? Verse 191, Ishwar prayasi Sita Chidananda Murti Prakrita Indriyera Tanre Dekite Nahi Shakti. Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu continued, Sita Devi, the dearmost wife of the Supreme Lord Ramchandra, certainly has a spiritual form full of bliss. No one can see her with material eyes, for no one materialist has such power. Verse 192. Sparshi bar karya achuk na paye darshan sitar akriti maya harila Ravana. To say nothing of touching Mother Sita, a person with material senses cannot even see her. When Ravan kidnapped her, he kidnapped only her material illusory form. Verse 193. Ravan aisete Sita antardhan kaila Ravanera age Maya Sita pathaila. As soon as Ravan arrived before Sita, she disappeared. Then, just to cheat Ravan, she sent an illusory material form. Verse 194. Aprakrita vastu nahe prakrita gochara Veda puranete ekahe nirantar. Spiritual substance is never within the jurisdiction of the material conception. This is always the verdict of the Vedas and Purans. Purport. As stated by the Kathopanishad 2.3.9 and 12, Na sandrishe tishtati rupam asya na chakshusha pashyati kaschanayanam Rida Manisha Manasa Bhiklupo Ya Etad Vidur Amritas Te Bhavanti Naya Vacha Na Manasa Praptum Shakyo Na Chakshusha. Spirit is not within the jurisdiction of material eyes, words, or mind. Similarly, Srimad Bhagavatam 10.84.13 states, Yasyatma Buddhi Kunape Tri Dhatuke Swadhihi Kaladradishu Bhaumijya Dhi Yat Tirtha Buddhihi Salile Na Karhichij Janeshva Abhijaneshu Saeva Ko Kharaha. A human being who identifies his body made of three elements with his self, who considers by the byproducts of his body to be his kinsman, who considers the land of his birth worshipable, and who goes to a place of pilgrimage just simply to take a bath rather than to meet a man of transcendental knowledge, there is to be considered like an ass or a cow. There are some Vedic statements about spiritual substance. Spiritual substance cannot be seen by the unintelligent because they do not have the eyes or the mentality to see the spirit soul. Consequently, they think that there is no such thing as spirit. But the followers of the Vedic injunctions take the information from Vedic statements such as the verses from the Kathopanishad and the Srimad Bhagavatam quoted above. Verse 195. Vishwas karaha tumi amar vachane punarapi ku bhavanan nakariya mane. Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu then assured the Brahmanas, have faith in my words and do not burden your mind any longer with this misconception. Purport. This is the process of spiritual understanding. Achintya khalu ye bhavana tams Tarkena yojayet. We should not try to understand things beyond our material conception by argument and counter-argument. Mahajano yena gatah sa panthaha. We have to follow in the footsteps of great authorities coming down in the parampara system. If we approach a bona fide acharya and keep faith in his words, spiritual realization will be easy. Verse 196. Prabhura vachane viprera haila vishwas bhojan karila haila jivanera as. Although the Brahmana was fasting, he had faith in the words of Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu and accepted food. In this way, his life was saved. Verse 197. Tanre Ashvasiya Prabhu Karila Gaman Krit Malaya Snan Kari Aila Durvasana. After thus assuring the Brahman, Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu proceeded further into southern India and finally arrived at Durvasana, where he bathed in the river Kritamala. Presently, the Kritamala river is known as River Bhagai or Vagai. This river has three tributaries named Suruli, Varaham Nadi and Battila Gundu. The river Kritamala is also mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.39 by the sage Kara Bhajana. Verse 198. Durvashane Raghunathe Kaila Darshana Mahindra Shaile Parshuramer Kaila Vandana. At Durvashana, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu visited the temple of Lord Ramchandra, and on the hill known as Mahendra Shaila he saw Lord Parshuram. Purport: in Durvashana or Darbhashyana, now known as Tirupulini, which is 7 miles east of Ramanad, where there is a temple of Lord Ramchandra. The hill known as Mahendra Shail is near Tirunelveli, and at the end of this hill, a city known as Tiruchendur, west of Mahendra Shail, is the territory of excuse me, Tribankura. There is a mention of Mahendra Shail in the Ramayana. Verse 199. Setu bande asi kaila dhanush tirthe snana Rameshwara dekhi tahan karila vishram. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then went to Setu bande Rameshwar, where he took his bath at the place called Dhanush Tirth. From there he visited the Rameshwar temple and then he took rest. Purport: the path from Mandapam through the ocean to the island known as Pambam consists partly of sand and partly of water. The island of Pambam is about 17 miles long and 6 miles wide. On this island, 4 miles north of Pambam harbour, is Setubandha, where the temple of Rameshwar is located. This is a temple of Lord Shiva, and the name Rameshwar indicates that he is a great personality whose worshipable deity is Lord Ram. Thus, the Lord Shiva found in the temple of Rameshwar is a great devotee of Lord Ramchandra. It is said, Devi Pattanam Arabhya Gachayeuh Setu Bandhanam. After visiting the temple of the goddess Durga, one should go to the temple of Rameshwar. In this area, there are 24 different holy places, one of which is Dhanush Tirth, located about 12 miles south of Rameshwar. It is near the last station of the southern station railway, a station called Ramanad. It is said that here, on the request of Ravan's younger brother Vibhishan, Lord Ramchandra destroyed the bridge of Lanka with his bow while returning to his capital. It is also said that one who visits Dhanush Tirth is liberated from the cycle of birth and death, and that one who bathes there gets all the fruitive results of performing the yagya known as Agni Shtoma. Verse 200. Vipra sabhaya shune tanha kurma purana tar madhye aila pativrata upakhyana. There among the Brahmans, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu listened to the Kurma Puran, wherein is mentioned the chaste woman's narration. Purport: Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur remarks that only 2 khandas of the Kurma Puran are now available, namely the Purva Khanda and the Uttara Khanda. Sometimes it is said that the Kurma Puran contains 6,000 verses, but according to Srimad Bhagavatam, the original Kurma Puran contains 17,000 verses. It is considered the 15th of the 18 Mahapurans. Verse 201. Pativrata Shiromani Janak Nandini Jagatera Mata Sita Ramera Grihini. Srimati Sita Devi is the mother of the 3 worlds and the wife of Lord Ramchandra. Among chaste women, she is supreme and she is the daughter of King Janak. Verse 202. Ravan dekhiya Sita Laila Agnira Sharana Ravan haite Agni Kailas Sita ke Avaran. When Ravan came to kidnap Mother Sita and she saw him, she took shelter of the fire god Agni. The fire god covered the body of Mother Sita, and in this way she was protected from the hands of Ravan. Verse 203. Maya Sita Ravan Nila Sunila Akhyane Shuni Mahaprabhu Haila Anandita Mane. Upon hearing from the Kurma Puran, now Ravan had kidnapped a false form of Mother Sita. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became very satisfied. Verse 204. Sita lena Rakhi lena Parvatira Sthane Maya Sita Diya Agni Vanchila Ravane. The fire god Agni took away the real Sita and brought her to the place of Parvati, goddess Durga. An illusory form of the Mother Sita was then delivered to Ravan, and in this way Ravan was cheated. Verse 205. Raghunath Asi Yabe Ravane Marila Agni Pariksha Dite Yabe Sitare Anil. After Ravan was killed by Lord Ramchandra, Sita Devi was brought before the fire and tested. Verse 206. तभी माया सीता अग्नि करी अंतर्धान सत्य सीता आनी दिल Ram Vidyaman. When the illusory Sita was brought before the fire by Lord Ramchandra, the fire god made the illusory form disappear and delivered the real Sita to Lord Ramchandra. Verse 2 and 7. Shunina Prabhura Anandita Haila Mana Ramadas Viprera Katha Haila Smarana. When Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu heard this story, he was very pleased and he remembered the words of Ramdas Vipra. Verse 208. Esaba Siddhanta Shuni Prabhura Ananda Haila Brahmanera Sthane Magi Se Patra Nila. Indeed, when Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu heard these conclusive statements from the Kurma Puran, he felt great happiness. After asking the Brahmana's permission, he took possession of the manuscript leaves of the Kurma Puran. Verse 209. Nutan Patra Lekhana Pustake Deo Yaila Pratiti Lagi Puratan Patra Magi Mila Nila. Since the Kurma Puran was very old, the manuscript was also very old. Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu took possession of the original leaves in order to have direct evidence. The text was copied onto new leaves in order that the Purans be replaced. Verse 210. Patra Lena Punaha Dakshina Mathura Aila Ramadas Vipre Se Patra Ani Dila. Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu returned to southern Mathura, that is Madurai, and delivered the original manuscript of the Kurma Puran to Ramdas Vipra. Verses 211 and 12. Sita Yara Dito Vanish Chaya Sitam Aji Janat Tam Jahar Dasha Grivah Sita Vahni Puram Gata Pariksha Samaye Vahnim Chaya Sita Vivesh Shah Vahni Sitam Samaniya Tat Purastad Aninyat. When he was petitioned by Mother Sita, the fire god Agni brought forth an illusory form of Sita, and Raman, who had 10 heads, kidnapped the false Sita. The original Sita then went to the abode of the fire god. When Lord Ramchandra tested the body of Sita, it was the false illusory Sita that entered the fire. At the time, the fire god bought the original Sita from his abode and delivered her to Lord Ramchandra. Purport: these two verses are taken from the Kurma Puran. Verse 2 and 13. Patra pen pana viprera haila anandita mana prabhura charane dhari kare krandana. Ramadas Vipra was very pleased to receive the original leaf manuscript of the Kurma Puran, and he immediately fell down before the lotus feet of Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu and began to cry. Verse 2 and 14. Vipra kahe tumi sakshat Sri Raghunandana Sanyasira Veshe More Dila Darshana. After receiving the manuscripts, the Brahmana, being very pleased, said, Sir, you are Lord Ramchandra himself and have come in the dress of a sannyasi to give me an audience. Verse 15. Mahadukha haite more karila nistar aji more ghare bhiksha kara angikar. My dear sir, you have delivered me from a very unhappy condition. I request that you take your lunch at my place. Please accept this invitation. Verse 2 and 16. Mano dukhe bhala bhiksha na dila se dine mora bhagye punarapi pailuni darshane. Due to my mental distress, I could not give you a very nice lunch the other day. Now by good fortune you have come again to my house. Verse 217. Eta bali se vipra sukhe pak kaila uttam prakare prabhu ke bhiksha Karaila. Saying this, the Brahman very happily cooked food, and a first-class dinner was offered to Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu. So we'll continue our reading from verse 218 next time from the Madhya Lila of chapter 9 of Madhya Lila. Thank you for joining. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai.